Yo, what's going on? Kamikaze Soundwaves here, and I saw the Sonic the Hedgehog movie today, and I have to say that I absolutely loved it. I thought that it was really, really good. I gotta say, from that initial trailer, the way that Sonic looked, and then the reworking Sonic, to the final product that we got, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have my expectations high. I wasn't expecting this movie to be great. It was Sonic, so I had to see it. I'm a big Sega fan, big Sonic fan, grew up with Sonic, love Sonic as a character. So no matter if this movie was going to be bad or going to be good, I had to be there and I had to see it. And I gotta say, after seeing it, they did a really good job with this. So I ain't going to spoil the hell out of this movie. It's already been out for a few days, so I figure if anybody wants to watch this, it's more or less like just kind of seeing like what other people's thoughts are on certain parts of it. So I am going to be spoiling the hell out of this movie. So if you haven't seen it, I do highly suggest seeing this movie and not watching this video. So the story, it's basically little baby Sonic in his where he comes from world. He ends up having to run away from that world, and he basically grows up in the like our world, in Earth. He pretty much lives in the woods, does his thing to survive. Basically, he lets off this big pulse that he doesn't realize that he can do. So they send this big government agency to come and get him. That's where Robotnik comes in. And that's pretty much where the story unfolds. And basically, in the beginning part, he ends up losing his rings. I really thought it was great how they encompassed his rings in a really different and kind of important way. But basically, he ends up dropping his rings to a portal, so he has to get to San Francisco from where he's at. And basically, he meets up with a guy, and I don't know what his name is, but we're going to refer to him as David Hasselhoff because he looks like David Hasselhoff. So David Hasselhoff and Sonic basically just adventure ensues. Basically, run away from Robotnik and Robotnik's inventions to go get Sonic's rings so he can basically escape. Turns out that Sonic, you know what? He doesn't want to escape. He's always wanted to stay on Earth, and he doesn't want to have to go to another dimension because once he goes, he can't come back. So he said, you know what? I'm going to stay Robotnik. I'm just going to have to deal with you. So basically, he fights off Robotnik. He gets to the end. Robotnik gets some of Sonic's powers into his machines because Sonic would basically tear his shit apart. And then basically, Sonic ends up defeating Robotnik. Pretty straightforward setup, and it worked great. It wasn't convoluted. It wasn't just over-the-top nonsense. Straightforward plot, and it worked really, really well. Sonic, okay, I gotta say from the previews and stuff, I thought Sonic was just gonna be a loudmouth, annoying little shit, and I was gonna get annoyed of him very, very quickly, but I thought he was hilarious. I thought he was really funny. I mean, some of his jokes were really relatable. Like, he said, like, Dr. Robotnik's, like, machines look like drones that Amazon would use to drop off packages. Like, he had funny little zingers and stuff like that, and I thought it was great. David Hasselhoff's character, whatever his name is, he was okay. He had some funny little lines here and there, but him and Sonic had a really good chemistry together, like a little buddy cop movie, if you will, and their chemistry was really well together. And Jim Carrey, I mean, he fucking stole the show as Robotnik. He was really great, and I gotta say that, honestly, from the previews as well, I felt like probably me and a lot of people felt that he was just going to phone in this fucking performance and be like, hey, I'm Jim Carrey. It's a Sonic movie. It's probably going to do well. I'm Robotnik. I'm Jim Carrey. Okay, give me my fucking paycheck, please. I think that's what a lot of people thought he was going to do, but, you know, he fucking killed it. He was hilarious. There was a lot of jokes in there that were, I think some of them were for adults, but just the way he interacted, like, with his staff and shit, and the people, like, he just came around, like, he was a complete, huge asshole, and it fucking was hilarious. There was, like, one scene where he's, like, the other guy he always keeps picking on. He's actually about to praise him, about to give him a high five. When he does, he, like, hits him in the stomach, because he's like, nah, you left yourself open. He did a lot of just quirky, funny shit, and it was like Jim Carrey, like, at, like, I would say, like, in the 90s. It was great. I loved it. So, things that I really, really liked about the movie, number one, Sonic, of course, Jim Carrey. The whole story in a whole, I mean, it was, you know, I mean, certain things had to play out they would. I mean, I could sit here and nitpick the shit out of it, but I'm not. You know what? I feel like I went to the movie, and I had a really enjoyable time. But there was two parts that I actually really liked in the movie, and I'll talk about a few others, but these were two of my favorite ones when they're in the bar scene, and Sonic basically just goes insanely fast, and he fucks up everybody in the bar in this bar brawl, and basically when time comes back into play, everything just gets fucked up, but like works out so perfectly. And it was hilarious, and it was really cool. Like, it reminded me of that scene from X-Men, Quicksilver, like when they had that scene where I think they were busting out Magneto or something like that, where he went super slow and like went around the kitchen scene and was like, doing things. I think they pretty much stole that from that, but it was really, really cool. And they did another scene where towards the end where Robotnik launches all these missiles at Sonic, and he basically does like the I am waiting thing. There was a lot of cool like things inside like that for the movie, but he does a little I'm waiting thing, and then he just goes crazy like tearing up all his machines and shit, which was really, really cool. Those are actually two of my favorite parts. Now, there was a lot of other really good, funny parts. I mean, there was parts where I'm like, damn, I'm laughing out loud, like genuinely laughing out loud. It was really funny. Like, there's this fucking crazy guy who's apparently seen Sonic, and Sonic likes to fuck with them before this whole thing happens. And he like draws a picture of Sonic, and it has like that old like meme Sonic drawing of it. They had like a lot of little clever things in there like that, and I thought it was really cool. It was kind of self-aware. I love that shit. I love the humor, and it was great. And like towards the end, the crazy guy, like they're all about to like help Sonic confront Robotnik. He like just pulls out a chainsaw, and the guy's like, "Dude, get the fucking chainsaw away from me!" But no, like I said, the humor was really good. I mean, I felt like I was smiling a lot of the times, and I was actually laughing. Like it wasn't forced. It was just genuinely good and genuinely funny. And Sonic, I mean, he felt like fucking Sonic. Like I feel like if this like Sonic was in the real world, like this would be him. He's a fucking smart-ass, cocky-ass little motherfucker, and he's cool. Now, I do honestly feel the original design they had for Sonic, I now starting to feel like they really did this on purpose. I felt like they did this to generate buzz around the movie, like, oh my god, look how stupid and terrible Sonic looks. As good as this movie was, and as funny as it was, I think that was intentional at this point. I think there was some kind of theories thrown out that it was. But after seeing how good this movie was, I think that it generated a lot of buzz. And then when they did the redesign of Sonic, you know, people were like, oh, we won, we got them, they're redesigning Sonic, you know, they listened to us. So maybe that gave a lot more people reasons to go see the movie. But I also think that I think they played it smart with this. And this is the way I think that they kind of did very well with how they promoted this movie, was that I think the previews and stuff made it look kind of crappy, right? And I think a lot of people went with full intentions of going to see the Sonic movie and it being really bad, and people were just going to rip all over it and make fun of it and how terrible it is. But the way they did with the redesign of Sonic, and how I think the trailer portrayed the movie, because there was that one scene in the movie where Jim Carrey is addressing that general, and you watch that trailer and it looks stupid. Like, you're like, this isn't funny. But that scene actually was funny. They cut out a lot of stuff from that scene, and that scene was actually genuinely hilarious. The general is like, Jim Carrey's just being Robotnik's just being a complete asshole to him. He's like, tell him to do something or I'm going to bring up his search history. I mean, like, there's like inside jokes for parents and stuff. It was really, really clever. But my whole point is that I do think that the advertisement of this, like with the old design or the original design to what they changed it, I think that helped generate a lot of buzz about this movie. And from what I've seen, it's doing really well at the box office, which also they leave this movie up for a sequel. And oh my god, if they do, I'm there. So there's two end scenes, and I gotta say that the original end scene, the first one, it has like a little 2D game of like original Sonic like running through the actual movie and the events, and that was really cool. I mean, it looked like a straight up Sonic game, and I'm like, can someone please make this Sonic game now? It looked like basically like Sonic Mania, like, but all the like the timeline of this movie and like how it happened. It looked really cool. Basically, Robotnik gets turned into this other dimension that Sonic was about to go to, and Sonic don't want to go there because apparently no one lives there. It's just basically a livable planet with no life on it, and that's just where he would have to hide. So Robotnik actually ends up going there, and that's when he actually gets the big mustache, because he's been living there, I guess, for a while, and it's bushed out. So basically he like packs his stuff up or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna, find my way out of here, etc. So they set it up for a sequel. And also the last ending part was the Tails shows up out of nowhere, out of one of the rings. So I'm thinking he came from original Sonic's planet, so he flies off, and that's pretty much where the rest of the credits roll. So they definitely left it up for a sequel, and as long as they don't botch it and everybody stays on board for the next one, I'm totally there. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, there was even them picking on how the way a Robotnik looked. Now, he's not, the big fat Robotnik that we all know with the big mustache. He's just like, I guess, original Robotnik before he meets Sonic. And he's actually wearing like the red lab coat thing and his jet with the goggles. And they're like, what the hell are you wearing? He's like, oh, this is a spacesuit. Like, it helps me be more aerodynamic. Like, they just were so self-aware of things in the Sonic and Sega universe. It was just so good. I mean, it was it was great. It was perfect. So if there's anything I really had to gripe about the movie, I do have a few things, but they're not major, and it doesn't break the film in any way. I do feel like a lot of the whole, talking rodent, human on an adventure cliche, like starting off on the wrong foot, actually ended up liking each other, then getting mad at each other over some stupid dispute, and then being best friends again. Very cliche, but it worked. It worked. There was a part of me where Sonic needs to go to San Francisco, and he obviously could be there in like 5 seconds, but he needs to drive in the vehicle so adventure can ensue, right? And friendship can ensue. That was just, makes sense in the premise of the movie, but it's fucking Sonic and the way and how fast he is. He could have been there in like 5 seconds and got his rings and come back, and we could have not even had this movie. But I get it. It makes sense. There was something, this wasn't really a gripe, but there was a part where they go into the hotel room to stay in the night, and Sonic does his little Sonic thing, running all over the hotel room, blah, blah. But he comes out dressed as like a lady, like Bugs Bunny, with the hair all wrapped in the towel, and the towel wrapped around him. And, they started looking at each other like they just had this big, like, fun time together. And they got kind of quiet for a second, and they gave each other this look, and I'm like, is Sonic gay? Like, what's happening here? Like, please, in this day and age, you never know who they're going to try to appeal to. And I'm like, if you guys turn Sonic gay, like, I'm going to burn something down. But that's just me being me. I caught that for a minute, and I was like, oh, shit. But anyway, some other things, I felt like the parts where the humans are interacting with Sonic and obviously his CGI-ness. There was a part, like, where they had this, before they had the big fight brawl scene, where they're, like, supposed to be looking at Sonic, but, like, Sonic is here, and they're like, yeah, you little blue hedgehog or whatever. I'm like, he's over here, guys. Are you cross-eyed? Are they blind? Clearly, they, maybe rushed those scenes a little bit. And there was also a scene like where Sonic jumps up and punches this guy in the face, but it's like you could tell the guy's just like going like this, And then there was a part where David Hasselhoff meets up with his wife, and he introduces him to Sonic, and Sonic runs all over the place. They're like, yeah, they're clearly like, this is a director. Sonic's running all over. Just look all over the fucking place. So, those couple of things, I was just like, it just kind of pulled me out of the immersion of the movie. But very small things like that. But that's just me. I can be critical of stupid shit like that. But overall, I gotta say, Sonic the Hedgehog was a fantastic video game movie, and I absolutely loved it. Here's the thing. I'm a big Sega fan, big Sonic fan, and, that kind of helped me enjoy the movie, I think. But even if you're not, I don't think you need to be. Like, my wife doesn't play video games, barely even know who Sonic is, and she walked out and she was like, I loved it. It was really cool. And I'm like, I don't think you even need to like video games at this point. It helps, but overall, it's just a good, kid-friendly, funny, great movie. I gotta say, there was parts in the movie, like I said, I was smiling when I walked out. I was smiling. I was like, I really enjoyed myself on this movie. So I gotta say, highly suggest this one. This is a great one in the theater with the crowd reaction. Wait for DVD in any way, shape, or form you can. You've gotta see this movie, video game fan or not. Great, great film. And my kids, they also loved it. So, but anyway, that's all I really got. Kamikaze Soundwaves. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Much obliged. And I will catch you out over in the next one. Later.